Welcome to the Gray Area. Kevin Gray of 105.3 The Fan. Appreciate everyone subscribing to my YouTube channel right here at Kevin Gray Sports. You can also find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, also at Kevin Gray Sports. The Dallas Mavericks are looking to win their fourth straight road game as they face the 8-4 Milwaukee Bucks, as the Milwaukee Bucks this year are the highest scoring team in the NBA, averaging nearly 121 points per game, and are the best in terms of offensive rating at 118.1. They are facing a Dallas Mavericks team that has won 4 games in a row, looking to win their fourth straight road game, and a team that is second in defensive rating this season. This is a team that has started to find its calling card on the defensive side of the basketball, and it's being led by its superstar, Luka Doncic, who's already had a 4-steal game this year and a 4-block game against the Charlotte Hornets, and a win where he nearly had another triple-double. Luka Doncic was named Western Conference Player of the Week last week and continued his stellar play as he continues to help the Mavericks ascend to the top of the Western Conference during the early portion of this season. They will be taking on a guy who a lot of folks thought might be in a Dallas Mavericks uniform at the end of this season, and one Giannis Antetokounmpo, who on this season is averaging 26 points and over 10 boards a game on the season, shooting 52% from the field. The two-time defending league MVP and reigning defensive player of the year continues to be a terror and a monster for a Milwaukee Bucks basketball team that's looking to get to the NBA Finals after being upset by the Miami Heat in the NBA playoffs in the bubble in Orlando. Chris Middleton, averaging 21 points per game for this team, continues to be a really good number 2 option. Of course, they now have Jrue Holiday, who himself is averaging 15 points a game this year. But now the Dallas Mavericks, who you remember walked into Milwaukee last year when Kristaps Porzingis went berserk against the Milwaukee Bucks, who were riding an 18-game winning streak, went into their house for a 30-plus point game and was able to help end the 18-game win streak of the Milwaukee Bucks. Kristaps Porzingis is back, and in his first game action against the Charlotte Hornets, had 16 points and played pretty good basketball for a guy that was coming off a left meniscus tear in his knee, and continues for the Dallas Mavericks the positive momentum despite the fact that they will be without, again, guys like Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Brunson, Josh Richardson, and Maxi Kleber and Dwight Powell due to the COVID protocols. The depth of this team continues to show up and continues to show up well for this team throughout this season. Willie Cauley-Stein, who had 14 rebounds in his last game against the Charlotte Hornets, continues to provide the paint resistance and shot alteration. And now with Kristaps Porzingis back into the lineup, this is a team that has a formidable 1-2 punch at the 4 and 5 position, which you'll see much more of from Kristaps Porzingis, especially if Willie Cauley-Stein remains in the starting lineup. But what's most important is that this team, from a defensive standpoint, has started to take on the mantra of its superstar and league MVP candidate in Luka Doncic. I had the chance to ask Rick Carlisle about why it's important for Luka Doncic to continue to set the tone, if there's anything different from what he has seen from him this year versus what he has been doing previously as far as defense is concerned. Here's what he had to say during his media availability. Hey, good afternoon, Coach. Your team obviously is second this season in defensive rating. Have you seen something specifically from Luka Doncic in terms of his leadership and how he has continued to embrace the defensive end of the basketball that's been infectious amongst his teammates this season?
Luka's a winner, and he understands that the defensive end of the floor is critical if you want to be a consistent winning team. And shot making is going to be fickle. It's going to come and go, but defense travels, and defense is something that you can always have, if your effort and attention to detail and intensity is there. And so, last night he had some of the best defensive possessions he's had his whole career in the NBA. I mean, there were 2 or 3 times when he got in great position, was able to get a hand on the ball. There was one time where he dove on the floor and tipped it to a teammate, and then we were off on the break. I mean, it was just beautiful stuff, So, and look, it's not like he's drawing easy matchups. He matched up against Hayward last night, and I certainly think there's a good chance he'll guard Drew Holiday for stretches of the game tomorrow night. And those are really difficult assignments.
So obviously for Rick Carlisle, he understands that his team is going to follow the lead of its superstar in Luka Doncic, and his ability nowadays to flood passing lanes, to create steals, the block shots, and the overall defensive commitment that Luka Doncic has made has really flipped this thing on its head for the Dallas Mavericks and really gives you the idea that this team could be a true championship contender this year. We all know the old adage in the NBA, defense travels. And so far for a Dallas Mavericks basketball team who is 8-4 looking to win its fourth straight road game, that defense has traveled. A team that's second in defensive rating, which came to a little bit of surprise of Rick Carlisle himself, shows you not just the overall commitment that this team has made on the defensive end of the basketball, but when they are committed to doing so, they are really good at playing good defense. You've seen the Kristaps Porzingis of the world who averaged 2 blocks a season ago, the James Johnsons of the world who had 3 blocks against the Charlotte Hornets. The overall defensive identity of this team to make sure that they are helping on the weak side, make sure that they are flooding passing lanes, make sure that they are getting deflections and wreaking havoc in terms of an offense, are doing the kinds of things that make championship teams what they are when they're trying to ascend to those types of levels. And we all know how good this team was last year in terms of offensive rating, the best in terms of offensive rating in NBA history. But Rick Carlisle has continued to preach throughout this past offseason and into this season now is that in order for this team to be truly contenders in the Western Conference, their defensive identity is going to have to match what the offensive identity was a season ago. And if that's the case, this is a team that could find itself in the top 4 of the Western Conference. Even with contributions from guys like Tim Hardaway, who has remained a professional coming off the bench now, continuing to be hot from the three-point line and what he does from a consistency point there, shooting over 40% from the three-point line so far this year, continues to give you the idea that once the remaining players come back, the Maxi Klebers of the world, who's turned into a very versatile defender, Dorian Finney-Smith, Jalen Brunson, who's been a very good backup point guard for this team, once this team fully comes back healthy, this is a team that has a lot of depth. And while they still need a second perimeter scorer, I will continue to say that, right now their top 2 players are back. And with the momentum that is building for a team that's won 4 straight games, getting its second best player back, but more importantly, on the defensive end is getting the commitment and effort and really good defensive play from its superstar in Luka Doncic, that is a recipe and a formula for consistency throughout a season that will give them the best opportunity to maximize their potential seeding in the Western Conference. And that is the most important.
Hey, Luka, congratulations on the game tonight. Why is it so important for you to be the one to set the tone on the defensive end, knowing that as you continue to do so, your teammates will follow behind you with that?
I think it's important as a part of being a leader. Obviously, we have not just one leader, but if I set the tone, I know guys gonna follow, and I think I gotta do this more, be a better leader, and I think that's the reason to set the tone.
Teams who aspire to be champions have to take the mantra from their leader. And Luka Doncic is starting to prove himself as a better leader for this team, especially by the example that he is setting, by the defensive tone that he sets night after night, and has taken that on with respect to not only his game on the defensive end, but the totality of his game. He had his best sequence in the Charlotte game where he blocked a shot on Gordon Hayward, who eventually had to leave the game due to a hip injury. Blocked the shot on Gordon Hayward, was able to get the ball and push it out in transition and give an alley-oop for a layup to Josh Green. By far what I think was Luka Doncic's best sequence of plays all season long. Those are the kinds of things that as you continue to look forward for this team as the Mavericks go, that's what they will continue to need to do. Set the tone defensively night after night, get teams out in transition, force turnovers, knock the 3 ball down, and now with the spacing that Kristaps Porzingis is going to provide to them on a night-to-night basis with his ability to shoot the ball well beyond the three-point line. He even showed a little bit of dribble drive penetration, taking the ball to the rack, and being able to create the kind of space for his teammates to be able to have open shots also, because we already know the kind of creativity that Luka Doncic is going to provide as a passer with his vision, his creativity, and his ability to make pinpoint passes. We all know that. But now this offense becomes even much more unlocked with Kristaps Porzingis' ability to shoot the ball, not only from the three-point line, but his mid-range game. And if he continues to make defenses respect him by dribble driving and penetrating every so often, now you have a combination and a potential triple threat with the Kristaps Porzingis. Not that he's going to put the ball on the deck a lot, but he has to do it just enough for defenses to respect him, especially knowing how good of a three-point shooter he is from the outside. And has continued the contributions from guys like Willie Cauley-Stein, Trey Burke, and others who have played extremely well. Trey Burke especially off the bench with his instant offense that he's able to provide. You look up and down this lineup and the roster flexibility that Rick Carlisle has that he's going to have to do with the mix matching of lineups night in to night out based on the matchups that the other opposition is presenting to him. He's going to have a lot of fluidity with this lineup, and you've seen that so far through the rotations, through the starting lineups, and who he's had to have in and out of these lineups to make sure that he is matching up best with this basketball team. The Dallas Mavericks are going to be taking on a Milwaukee Bucks team. That's a big basketball team. You got guys like Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, and Giannis all on the front court there. You're going to see a sizable lineup for the Dallas Mavericks, especially with guys like Kristaps Porzingis and Willie Cauley-Stein remaining most likely in the starting lineup. How they will continue to move forward in this lineup will be based on the matchups that they have night in and night out. But again, this team defensively looks much better than what they did a season ago. And it's important to know that with this defensive identity that's being established, this is something that no matter what kind of offense they play night to night, the ability to grind out basketball games, especially when you start getting into championship-like aspirations, you're going to get into dirty games sometimes where your offensive game is not going to show up the way it needs to. But your ability to play defense, create easy buckets for yourself in transition, that is what the Dallas Mavericks will continue to work on as this first half of the season continues to progress. And as it does, this should give Mavs fans a better indication that this team is becoming a much more complete basketball team. And if that's the case and they're becoming a more complete team, complete teams we know have championship aspirations. And I'm not just saying that because this team has a good young duo, one of the best young duos in all of the NBA that could potentially get them there. It's because of the habits they are building that championship teams have. Really good on the offensive side of the basketball, but more importantly, getting stops when they need to and playing a championship mindset defense that can travel no matter what arena, empty or full, that this Mavericks team will go to. That is the most important thing for this team, as you've seen them through their first 12 games of the year at 8-4, playing the kind of defensive basketball that now has them second in defensive rating. Mavs fans should be excited about the idea that going forward, no matter what team they play, they're going to bring it on the defensive end of the basketball. And this is why, going forward, Luka Doncic will continue to remain at the forefront as far as a defensive, not only as an offensive player, but the totality of his game becoming a well-rounded one as an overall league MVP candidate. His ability to be a two-way player on both the offense and defensive ends, that's going to set him apart when it comes to this potential MVP race, not to mention all the triple-doubles he's going to rack up all season long. So we'll see as the Dallas Mavericks take on the Milwaukee Bucks. I'll have post-game coverage for the Milwaukee Bucks as they the Dallas Mavericks as they take on Milwaukee Bucks at the end of Friday night's game. You can follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kevin Gray Sports. Be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel, also at Kevin Gray Sports. We'll talk to you later. Peace.